In this video, I'll discuss some unusual formats, and it's in my book, Ellen's Guide to Design Elements on Amazon. A panorama is a long image, and it's usually horizontal, although it could be vertical if the subject warrants it, like a waterfall. And it extends beyond our 60-degree cone of vision, so we either have to step back to see the whole picture or read it from left to right, turning our head. Eye level is usually constant or slightly curved. Triptychs have 3 panels, and each panel has its own focus, able to stand on its own, but it's strengthened when viewed together. The panels should be connected in some fashion, like sharing the same horizon or background. Here they appear to be in the same room. And the viewpoint and eye level should be the same. The viewer is probably a standing adult here in all 3 images, and his eye level lines up with the eyes of the figures. Now, we generally read these things from left to right, so the narrative should make sense in that direction. The first panel, we see a group of women. Second panel, we see 2 women presumably looking at the group. And then in this last panel, it looks like the 2 women are turning away, implying some narrative. The middle panel is dominant because it usually is dominant, and also it has the 2 figures that are large and white, which are both characteristics that catch the eye, and presumably they're the subject of the story. This triptych has uneven panels, so the middle one is the dominant one. And early Christian triptychs have religious significance because 3 implies the Trinity. The horizon in all 3 panels is the same, but this high viewpoint suggests a bird's eye view, whereas these people aren't foreshortened. It's as if we're looking straight ahead at them. When the panels are closed, we see a monochromatic image as if mimicking sculpture. A diptych has 2 panels, and often they're equal for practical reasons, like they could be 2 sides of a door or 2 pages in the book. And sometimes they are closed to protect the art. Now, since these 2 are equal, neither one is dominant, so instead they represent opposites, with the coronation on one side and the Last Judgment on the other. Now, if we had a triptych like this with coronation here and the Last Judgment there and Earth in the middle, well, the Earth would become the dominant theme and you would lose the connection between these 2. This is called the Wilton diptych, where the king is being presented to the Virgin Mary and the Christ child. One side is predominantly gold and oranges, and the other side is mainly blues and whites. So they're complementary colors. This couldn't be a triptych, since it's a scene with only 2 sides. And oddly, these red socks are on the corners of the painting, and they're the most saturated color. So I thought that was a little odd. For a portrait, you can move the figure to one side and open up the other side for, let's say, a window view. So your figure should be looking at the window. This is too close to the edge. The person shouldn't be too low in the picture because it seems like he's either weighed down by the space above him or slipping down. And so this spacing is much better. But don't let your figures float, but rather connect them to at least 3 borders of the paper. And here they're connected here, here, and over here. What about the size of the head in relation to the frame? Well, you don't want the head to be too large for the frame or near the top of it because it may look trapped. And you don't want it too small because it may look monkey-like or insignificant, especially in this long horizontal format. Now, this is from a beautiful painting with beautiful proportions, and I've just cropped out part of it for you to use as an example. So these proportions are much better. She's not in the middle, and she has some room to look this way. And you don't want heads generally to be bigger than life, especially a big baby head. Circular formats generally neutralize tension, adding a softness to the image and encouraging a circular eye path. Practically speaking, though, they're rarely used because the artist would have to find a round frame or canvas. And there are few compositions that really fit well into a circle. They are good for fantasy, flowers, women, children, fisheye perspective, and portraits because the face is round or oval. It seems to encompass the subject without any indication that it continues beyond the frame, making the picture look compact and enclosed. And in religious paintings, the circle is the symbol of perfection and is associated often with symmetry and no directional pull, like a super being detached from earthly gravity. This picture is composed of a series of opposing curves. We have the red curve representing the mother and the blue curve representing the baby. And then we had the green curves for the arms and the legs, opposing both the red one and the blue one. And then we have the sleeves opposing the green lines. Now, the elbow of the child here is in the middle of the picture. Let me do it in white so you can see. Right here. As if everything is revolving around that elbow. And both the mother and child are looking at the viewer, which is unusual and sometimes feels intimidating. The other thing to notice is the chair with its horizontal and vertical lines stabilizes the picture. An elliptical format is the integration of roundness like a circle and linearity like a rectangle. So it looks more like a circle as it gets rounder, and it looks more like a rectangle as it lengthens. We could orient it vertically, as I did here with my granddaughter, and this vertical orientation may also suggest hierarchy if one subject is above the other. Alternatively, we could have it in a horizontal position, suggesting repose. And the subject should fit snugly into the frame. This octagonal frame is unusual. It's as if the corners were chopped off, giving the image a hemmed-in look and sending the viewer back to the center. The horse is surrounded by a dark cave and rocks as if he is trapped. And the focus is where the lion is chewing on horse meat, a little above the true center. And the horse's body twists almost completely around this focus as we feel his agony. Let's look at these examples of fitting the subject into the frame. So which one of these two do you think looks the best? According to Bailey, and I agree, it's this one. Has the best spacing. The apple tree doesn't seem to fit very well in this rectangle. But it harmonizes the best with the circle because of its curved edges. Now, what about these two? Which one do you like the best? Well, this one is probably better because it fits the space better than this one, which seems to have just a little too much space in it. Check out my book on Amazon, Ellen's Guide to Design Elements, and please remember to subscribe.